Welcome to the official podcast of PHP Architect. Join us to listen to the latest news and tech talk from our conferences, the magazine, and wider PHP community.
Hello, you're listening to the PHP Podcast, episode 23.9.1, the official podcast of PHP Architect, where we bring you the latest insights into the PHP Architect magazine, conferences, our business, and more. I'm your host, John Congdon, and with me, my friend and business partner, Eric Van Johnson.
Hello.
Hey there.
Hey.
Well, this was a little last minute. I was like, hey, we have a lot of stuff we can talk about. Why don't we just spin up a podcast and chat?
Yeah, it's not like we didn't just live stream another podcast less than 12 hours ago. Sure.
It's what we do, right?
It is.
Plans for more podcasts by any chance coming up soon?
You know, I keep saying I need to get on that. I have some people encouraging me again. Well, we'll use the word encouraging.
Very, very much encouraging. Well, since the last time we recorded one of these, we were close to having the August issue out. It is officially out now. Some great articles in that one, and now we are queuing up September, getting on that train, getting the articles reviewed and starting the layout process. I said in the opening, we talk about our business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can I admit an embarrassing fact?
I mean, I don't see why not.
I mean, I might as well. I did it on Mastodon anyway. I've been automating I've been automating so much of our process, right? I mean, the number of commands that I used to have to run to get a magazine out and all the individual steps, all the manual stuff that had to be done was just intense. So much automation in place. And I'm running the commands in my CLI and I'm getting these warnings. I'm like, no big deal. You know, I knew what the warning was, but it wasn't impacting anything. It was just in some debugging code this was in some configuration. I was looking for an array value that wasn't set. But because I wasn't using that object or that class, I didn't care. I didn't need that token. Let's be clear. It's ID _ token. And you want to know how you can know? It turns out one of my automations was generating the email that goes into MailChimp and then goes out to announce the magazine is released. And I didn't realize that it put those warnings into the text that went out to all of our subscribers.
You realize it now. We got so many tweets about that, and so yeah, we know we messed up.
I thought I cut it off at the pass pretty good by pointing it out myself, like, oh my god, I can't believe I did that. And people point out, well, now we know you're on a Mac. Yeah, information disclosure at its finest, right?
Yeah, a little leakage there.
Just a tiny bit. But nonetheless, August issue is out. Excited about it. Really excited about some of the artwork that's in there.
Yeah, we used this is the first time we've used Midjourney, the AI, to generate the cover, and then we actually generated a couple other images. That's something we've been wanting to do for a long time, is add some more visual imagery to the magazine. But it's always tough, like kind of going through Shutterstock and like, did we use this? I feel like we've already used this image, and you keep going through this cycle of trying to find good images for the articles. And now with Midjourney, I'm getting my head around how to create the prompts to actually create images that look like things now, not just these blobs of looks like some third grader finger painting something. It's cool. I liked how the cover came out.
Yeah, you need to share with me. I know you sat down with Steve from that listens to our other podcast and went through that. I need you to show me Midjourney, because I went to the site and I signed up, and all of a sudden I'm in Discord and I was very confused, and I'm like, never mind. I'm not gonna deal with this right now.
Yeah, that was the thing that kept mixing me up. I'll walk you through it. It's not super clear how you have to do it, and I'll explain it to you. But yeah, it's cool. And Steve is coming on board as a regular contributor to the magazine. That's Steve
McDougal.
McDougal.
Right.
Yeah, McDougal.
Yeah.
We always know Steve from his name before he got married, or so. Yeah, McDougal. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, he's coming on. He's going to take over Artisan Way, and Matt who's been doing Artisan Way for us, will transition over to another column, which I'm kind of excited about. I don't want to release too much about it because he can at least get the article, get the column out before I'm excited.
There you go. Speaking of the magazine, we're trying something new. I think we may have touched on it last episode. Always looking for writers for the magazine. If you're interested in writing a feature article, just reach out to us. Email us WRITE, WRITE, at phparch.social. Always looking for fresh content. You do not have to be a professional writer. You just have to be interested in a topic. When I've written for the magazine in the past, I've learned so much more about the topic I was writing about, just because I wanted to share as much as I possibly could. We pay US dollars for an article. However, Eric and I have decided that since we are putting on PHP Tech in 2024, that for the time being, you can choose either the cash or a ticket to PHP Tech in 2024.
Yeah.
Super excited about that.
I hope a lot of people take advantage of it. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Speaking of
tech, what have you been doing?
Sorry, I cut you off. Did you have something else to say about that?
No, I'm happy you're transitioning to tech.
The website's up. You can buy your blind early bird now. You can book
or write for us.
Or write for us, and not even have to worry about buying a ticket. You can book your room. Call for Papers will probably open next week, I'm thinking. What do you think, John?
Probably. I was working on it late last night, trying to get everything set up. So yeah, Call for Papers is going to be open very soon. In the meantime, on the speakers page, you can add your email address to be notified when Call for Speakers or Call for Papers or whatever we're calling it actually opens up.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not really a call for papers, but that's what the industry's term has always been, like the CFPs. It's actually a call for talk, right? Call for talks, or I don't know what the hell it is.
Yeah, who knows?
What's cool is I already have people reaching out to me and say, "Hey, where do I submit my talk?" I'm like, "Wow, I'm so happy to hear from you. I'll let you know in about a week."
It's coming up soon, promise. Speaking of tech from 2023, all the videos have been edited and posted as of about a month ago. So that's done. If you go to phptech.tv, if you purchased a ticket to Tech 2023, or a virtual pass, or you can still get one. You can view all the videos from last year, and I'm happy with how they turned out. I thought they turned out great.
Yeah, I was real. I was actually very nervous about the live streaming. Didn't bother me because it's like, okay, it's either going to work or it's not going to work. And there's not a whole lot there. But then the thought of, well, wait, now we have to edit all these videos and then somehow make them available to people, and man, that got stressful. But yeah, I'm happy the way it turned out.
We have plans for next year to make that a little smoother.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm telling myself anyway.
Derek is watching us actually right now.
I know.
Okay.
He's been talking about the reflection on my glasses. If you want to join us, you can join us live in Discord. Go to discord.phparch.com. Join our Discord server. Lots of great people in there chatting. It's a good time. Yeah, need to get more people like participating in that, like they do for PHP Ugly.
Yeah, it definitely changes things. Although I don't know, we don't like to record as long as we do for PHP Ugly, so maybe it's better that they don't. Don't bother us. We have things to talk about here. We don't need your input.
Speaking of the short time, let's talk about our sponsor, PHP Storm. Thanks to JetBrains and PHP Storm for partnering with us. PHP Storm is a cutting-edge IDE tailored for PHP and web developers. Whether you're a newcomer or it's just been a hot minute since your last dive in, there's never been a better time to revisit. With a slick, clean new UI, blazing speed enhancements, and a richer toolkit, it's transforming the way we code. It's time to start coding like a professional. Visit jetbrains.com/PHP Storm and kick off your 30-day free trial. Code smarter, not harder. Thank you, PHP Storm.
Hey, before we move on, I don't know if we talked about it last week. Maybe we have, but I think it bears repeating. So we said you can start booking a room. There's been some changes with the hotel. So it's at the same hotel that we were at this year, the Sheraton Suites O'Hare. If you went to Tech this year, there was some confusion, and quite honestly, John and I were confused as well, where there's this breakfast buffet that isn't included in the room. We didn't know that.
And it's wide open.
I know. I think a lot of us went down there and just started making ourselves plates, and then somebody would walk over. Do you want me to charge that to your room? No, I really don't want you to do that, but if you have to. Anyways, for 2024, that is now included. As long as you book through the website, tech.phparch.com, and you book your room through there, that buffet will be included as part of the package, which is a big plus. Also, one of the we recognized pretty quickly this year at Tech 2023 that our breakout rooms were probably a little small. They got really packed. So next year, the breakout rooms will be doubled.
Twice the size. Yeah.
Twice the size. Should be a lot more comfortable. AC going into both of them directly, a lot more room. So I just wanted to point those things out. We heard your feedback, and we did a lot of work to try to address some of that.
Did what we could for sure. So going back to JetBrains, they are a huge supporter of the foundation. And if you don't know what the PHP Foundation is, you should as a PHP developer. The foundation is kind of helping drive the ship of PHP, or steer the ship of PHP. For so long, it was all open source, people doing it for free on their own time. The foundation takes in money from contributors, big contributors like JetBrains and PHP Architect and others. Just name those. And actually paying, they are paying a couple of developers to work on the language itself, and it's worth supporting. So please support the foundation if you can. You go to thephp.foundation to learn more. And with that, there's a bunch of information that was shared that I wanted to bring up. PHP 8.3 is now in a feature freeze. I think this is as of yesterday.
Feature freeze.
So 8.3 is kind of in the release cycle. And
one of the release managers is the PHP Architect's very own contributor, Eric Mann.
Yes, he is.
I got to give him props whenever that comes up, because I know how difficult it is.
Throw your hat in the ring and get denied, just like when you try to be a speaker somewhere, right?
That's right.
Interesting fact, now that there is a new 8.3 branch, that means the current master branch of the code base is ready for PHP 8.4 to keep things moving along as 8.3 now goes off into the release sunset. 8.4 is sun rising. I don't know. Making up terms as I go.
Yeah, I'm not sure I followed that.
So 8.3 was on the master branch of Git. So now that they are feature frozen, they created the 8.3 branch, which means the master branch is now considered 8.4.
Gotcha.
And they just keep moving on.
Cool.
There have been, in August, there were 5 releases, including 8.0 got a security release. So if you're not up to date, get updated. There were 3 security patches applied. So always good to stay on top of that.
Yes.
Yeah. And they also talked about some of the RFCs that are out there. And do you use temp name very often?
Only when I'm not feeling well.
So the function, the PHP function temp name, TEMPNAM, I use it all the time for some of the work I do.
I gotta be honest, I don't think I've ever used it.
It's used to create temporary files very easily. That's all it does. It gives you a unique name. And for the longest time, you could just provide a prefix. I use it to create outgoing phone calls, for example. So I have a prefix of outgoing _, and then I get, a random part at the end. So it creates a random file for me. There's an RFC now to add a suffix to that. So now you could have, .wave, .mp3, .html, whatever you need. And the nice part about that is with that suffix, there are some libraries that need a very specific file name. I currently use temp name and then immediately move the file to the proper extension that I need.
That's one of those quality of life things.
Yeah, there's ways around it, but yeah, it'll be a nice little change. PDO specific subclasses. PDO is meant to be able to attach to pretty much not any database, but lots of different types of databases, right? There's an RFC that was accepted unanimously, which is odd, to allow subclasses, which I think will give you like a MySQL specific PDO implementation or a Postgres or Couch or whatever you're trying to connect to. Because it didn't get into 8.3 before the feature freeze, it's now going to be an 8.4 feature.
Cool.
And if you don't know why this is a big deal, go over to phptech.tv and watch the database abstractions and where they leak video, because that was just eye-opening to me. The information he shared in there was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And I think he was talking more about from a doctrine point of view, but I think it holds true for PDO as well, because PDO is that abstraction where you're using just PDO, but you're connecting to different databases that respond differently to different inputs.
That's been something I've been doing. It sounds like you've been doing it as well, is actually watching the talk from our conference.
We didn't have a lot of time in May to do it ourselves, right?
No. Well, even when we were editing the talks, I had a process down to do the intro, outro, and do some cleanup in the middle, but we didn't watch them, or I didn't watch them. I don't know about you.
The only one I watched was the one where we didn't get the slides into the talk or into the video itself.
By the way,
so
you need to explain that so that people understand how much work you put into that. That was when you told me what you were doing, I was like, wow, you're a better person than I am. I would just let it go.
Yeah, I don't know how many videos it happened on. It just happened to be one I picked up near the end where for some reason we didn't get any of the videos into the stream. So, I mean, any of the slides into the stream, which means it wasn't part of the video. I was able to download his slide deck and basically just put an overlay onto the video. And then I watched and tried to pay attention to when he changed topics, or if I saw him go to his keyboard and press a key, I'm like, okay, he's going to the next slide. And I just kind of put that transition in there as much as I could.
Good job on that.
Thanks. What I do for our friends and viewers. Back on the RFCs, learned last night about rfc.stitcher.io.
Oh yeah, great work.
Yeah, that was Tom brought that to us, right?
Mm-hmm. You want to explain what it is, or?
I feel like I've been talking a lot. Would you like to? I mean, I don't mind, but
Brett, who's it?
Brent.
Brent?
I think it's Brent. Yeah,
from JetBrains. He does a lot of videos for PHP releases and things like that. He released this view, this application that lets you, as like a normal person, review RFCs that are currently on the table and vote on them. Now, your vote doesn't actually count towards anything, but it may influence the opinions of people who actually do vote on RFCs. So there's an interface now. It's kind of like a Reddit thing. You can read the RFC, you can look at it, and then you can vote on whether or not you like the RFC and you'd like to see it implemented or not. It's just really nice.
And then the cool thing is they don't let you vote. If I read it correctly, I didn't go through the whole thing. You can only vote if you provide a comment, like why you're voting yes or why you're voting no. Otherwise, all you can do is upvote or downvote somebody's comments. So you liked what they said, not voting on the RFC itself.
I didn't even pay attention that you could upvote or downvote comments as well. Wow, that's such a nice interface. A lot of work put in that.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, it might help internals say, oh, people really want this, but I think they already know what people want, what they don't want. They have their own reasonings for accepting or not accepting things.
Right.
I don't know if this is really going to sway anybody on the internals team one way or the other, but it would be interesting to hear from some of them to say, yeah, I care about what people want, but sometimes it's beyond control because I think the majority of people want generics, but we don't have that for technical reasons.
I would say that's more a technical issue than the fact that, people can't agree on whether or not it's a good thing.
Going back on the PHP 8.3, documentation needs to be updated, with all the changes. And if you go to the foundation in this list, I shouldn't find the link for it. Somebody kind of went through and found out all the places that need to be updated. And there's also a Docker container that you can download so you can make the changes and see them locally before opening a pull request. So if you want to contribute to PHP, but you don't want to get into internals, documentation is a good place to start. So,
that's cool. I might take a look at that this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. And I've already talked about supporting the foundation over at the php.foundation.
That's right.
If your company's making money off of PHP, contribute. I mean, you don't have to contribute a lot, but something. Give back to the community.
It's always been one of the caveats to open source. People become so dependent on the software that's created in these open source communities, but nobody wants to give back financially. And a lot of these developers, they're doing it, they have full-time jobs and they're doing it after hours or on the weekends. And some do it for 40 hours a week and don't get paid for it. So it's great to see this I don't know what you call it, structure, organization be put in place to see if this helps the whole open source and getting compensated for your work in open source issue.
Yeah. You know what I noticed? We have more people watching us on YouTube than our other podcast that's been around for 7 years. You all should come join us in Discord. But in the meantime, Michael says, I would love array interfaces like in TypeScript. And Mohammed says, you mean generics? And I think that's what you mean. Pretty much the same thing, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to specify the data structure that you have.
Yep.
Well, I think that was a good one.
I do enjoy these. You caught me a little off guard today, so I didn't have like a lot of backstory on the topics that you laid out. You did a great job, so I didn't have a whole lot to contribute. But yes, please consider contributing to PHP Architect as a writer. We would love to. We just love hearing from people in the community. We're very cool. We won't pressure you too much. You will get a little pressure, just a little.
You'll get pressure if you say, hey, I will have an article for you in 2 months, and then 2 months goes by and we'll be like, you said you would have an article for us, where's it at? But up until that point, we're very laid back, too laid back sometimes.
Yep. But besides that, I think we're good, man.
Yeah. So thank you for hanging out with us, and until next time, keep listening.
Yeah. What was my thing? Keep reading. Please tell me to keep reading. Keep coding.
Keep reading. Now you say keep reading.
Keep reading. I got it right the last time.
Yes, you did. I'm proud of you last time. Now I gotta find the outro because I don't know where it's at.
Outro. Do we have an outro? We have an outro.
We do have an outro.
Yeah. Third one over.
PHP Podcast, the official podcast of PHP Architect, the industry's leading tech magazine and publisher, focused on PHP and web development. Subscribe today at phparch.social to see what the leaders in the community and industry are talking about.